Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Recipe with Dr. Stepheny Finnie. It is my hope that through each segment, you will receive ingredients to live your best life. One seasoning I am personally passionate about is in the area of health and wellness. In fact, I host an Instagram Live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time titled, Do You Know What's in Your Feminine Care? But I will speak more about this at the end of the show. Today's special guest is a wife, a mother, award-winning speaker, international #1 best-selling author, personal brand strategist, and creative director. Welcome to The Recipe, Miss Tamisha Duncan.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here today.
Awesome. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I'm even better now that I'm here with you. You know, you are one of my favorite people in the universe, so I'm excited about this.
I'm so excited that you are here as well. But please take some time to tell us who you are, what you do, and why.
Good question, and why? I like that. So I am Tamisha Duncan. For those of you who do not know me, I'm a personal brand strategist and a brand positioning strategist. So I help entrepreneurs become known online, and I help them by using the gifts that they have and helping them to polish off those gifts that they have so that they can find more of their ideal clients and position them in the marketplace where there's a ton of saturation. So any business owner out there knows that, you know, the internet is saturated. There's so many people that are doing a lot of the same things, and it's getting even harder to stand out in the marketplace. So that's when somebody would hire someone like myself to help position them in their marketplace so they can make more money.
All right. Awesome. Well, I know you as the Olivia Pope of branding.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
for those who may not understand what this means, or better yet, for those of us, such as myself, who never watched Scandal, please explain.
So yes. So I got coined that name a couple of years back from a couple of clients, and I was like, I like that, so I'm going to stick with it. So yes, Olivia Pope is the main character from the TV show Scandal that was on so many years ago. And inside of the show, Olivia was known as the fixer. Whenever something happened at the White House or any problem happened, they would contact Olivia Pope and she would fix it, make it go away, do whatever she had to do, but it would get fixed. And so people started calling me the Olivia Pope of branding because I began to be known as the fixer. And I like to say that I take basic businesses, I turn them into blazing hot brands. So when people come to me, they either plateaued or they haven't really gotten any traction in the first place. And I help to fix and whip up their business and their brand so that they go from best kept secret to highly sought after industry leader.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for explaining that.
Yes.
So tell us how you got here. And what I mean is, what led you to become a personal brand strategist, a creative director, award-winning speaker, #1 best-selling author? Where did you begin, and what was the pull that moved you into this space, by the way, which a lot of people do not thrive in?
Yeah, that is very true. And it's hard. It's hard. You know, I struggled for a time period as well. I've always had a passion for branding and marketing. I always say I was the little girl at 8 years old when girls were playing with them. I date myself a little bit, but when girls were playing with their Cabbage Patch dolls and their Barbie dolls, I was ripping out model images from the Jet and Ebony magazines of my parents, and I would be cutting them out and putting makeup clips together and fashion things together and posting them and taping them on my wall. So I was creating my own little version of Pinterest boards, I guess, before Pinterest was even a thing. And so I've always been attracted to that kind of stuff. And I also have a background in performing arts. So I was a dancer since I was probably about 3 years old. And I've always been this creative person. I love to entertain people and I love to do all these kinds of things. And I had a passion for it, but I didn't go to school for it. So I kind of just felt like that was a hobby. That was just something that I'd like to do. Always wanted to pursue a career in marketing, but because I didn't have a degree, I just kind of was like, I guess I won't be able to do that. And so at the time when I started kind of figuring out what I wanted to do to scratch that itch, aside from dancing professionally, so I danced professionally, I had an opportunity to work with a lot of amazing artists in the background, like Jennifer Lopez, Missy Elliott, Sean Puffy Combs. I also was, a lot of people don't know this, I don't know if you know this, but I was a celebrity makeup artist for some time as well. So I would do celebrity shoots. I would do editorial work. I would do work for magazines. And I also worked for a very short period of time as a stylist for other celebrities as well. So in doing this, I was able to get a backstage pass on how the industries would make these regular people like you and I, into these large household names. And I was really, really fascinated with that. But again, didn't do much with it, just was a creative hobby that I enjoyed doing. In the meantime, as I was kind of digging into that, I decided to move. My husband, he was then my fiance, but we decided to get married and move to Atlanta. And so when I moved to Atlanta, I said, okay, I'm going to work for either Turner Broadcasting or the Coca-Cola Company, because I looked at those as big marketing and advertising conglomerates, and that was as close as I could come without necessarily working for like a big marketing agency. And I actually got a call from both of them, but Turner wasn't paying nothing. So I decided to go to Coke. And the main reason why I decided to go to Coca-Cola was because I would have been working with the president and EVP of the entire company. And I was like, whoa, I didn't have a college degree at the time because I dropped out because I wanted to use my my money that I got to buy shoes and clothes. And so after that ran out, my father was like, you decided to use your tuition on that, then you were going to pay for the rest of your school. I was like, no, I don't want to be going because I'm not going to do that. So where are we? So started working for the president of the Coca-Cola Company. And that was a major experience for me because I got to see firsthand how a big brand like the Coca-Cola Company, which is super iconic, created that brand love and brand magic, behind the scenes and all the little things that went into really building this big brand. In addition to what I had learned working in the entertainment industry and the creative industry. And what I did at the time was a little bit different than what people thought I would do. I started an event planning company because that was another one of my passions. I like doing events. And so I had created an event planning company. And the thing that actually was the shift for me is because I used to get a lot of people within the industry ask me about my brand. And they would ask me, oh my goodness, your website is so nice. Your brand is so dope. I love the way you look online. Who did your website? Who did your work? And I'm like, I did it. And they're like, you? Well, can you do it for me? And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe, I guess. And my heart kept pulling me there, but I kept making excuses why I wasn't qualified to do it. And so eventually my husband was like, you enjoy doing that, so just do it. You don't need a degree to do that. And I was like, you're right. So I started dabbling into helping other event planning professionals with their business and with their brand. And then eventually it kind of just evolved into other people who weren't event planners asking me to help them build their business, help them build their brand online, help them with so many different things. And so I said, you know what, this is what I feel I was called to do. This is something that I've always enjoyed doing. So this is where I feel like my passion lies. And I decided to go full throttle into being a branding coach. And so here we are today. And I've been doing that now full time. I've been doing it for the past 6 years.
Were there any stumbling blocks when you first set out on your own and said, okay, full time, I'm doing it, make it happen?
Oh, yes. So when I had decided to quit my job from the Coca-Cola Company, I was really nervous about that because that was a good job that I had. Remember, I mentioned that I didn't have a degree. I was the youngest person on those executive floors. Of course, I was not the only Black person, but there weren't that many of us working in those C-level suites. And so that was a big accomplishment for myself, for my family. And I didn't want to let anybody down. So I always had that kind of stigma hanging in the background, like, oh, am I making the right decision? Coupled with the fact that I didn't save anything when I finally decided to pull the trigger. I had nothing saved. And the day that I gave in my resignation, I remember a bill came out and I had a negative $125. So my next check that I would have been getting when I resigned was going to be the last check that I would have ever gotten. And I was just like, oh, Tamisha, what are you doing? Ironically, within 3 weeks of me resigning, I had decided to whip this program together and I put out my first program and I made $12,000. And that was exciting because I had never made that much money at once in such a short period of time. And I was like, oh, I should have quit a long time ago. this is what entrepreneurship is about. But the problem is I took my foot off the gas because I wasn't used to being an entrepreneur. I had been an employee for years. Before I worked for the Coca-Cola company for 10 years before I left, I worked in publishing in New York for 5. So I was working for 15 years in corporate America. I did not know what it meant to be disciplined as an entrepreneur. So as a result, my business tanked because I didn't know how to keep up the momentum. I didn't know how to stay consistent. My sister, who is also an entrepreneur, she's been doing this for a while. So she would be like, oh, let's hang out. Let's go to lunch. Let's do this. And I'm like, yeah, because I feel like I'm on vacation time. And my bank account reflected that. And I was like, oh, this is not going to work. Long story short, it was definitely a struggle because it took me a minute to find my way, to find my niche. I knew what I wanted to do, but as I started really digging into entrepreneurship, there were a lot of things that I didn't know about entrepreneurship. No one ever taught me how to run a business. I was passionate about certain things, but I didn't know how to sustain a business. And so as a result, I was on this roller coaster where I would have good months, good years, bad years. I even debated giving it all up, going back to corporate America. It was a struggle. I got my car repossessed. Like we were like, there was a point where we were at rock bottom and I was like, I don't know if I want to continue to do this, but there was that spark that was like, no, you can do this. You just got to get the right strategic help in place. Stop trying to do everything yourself. Get somebody that knows what you want to do or has been there before you to help you. Mm-hmm. So I ended up hiring a coach, and that really was the transition for me to help me really grow and scale my business. And then I took what I learned from the coach, implemented it in my business, and then I took those same skills to help my other clients. And that's how I was able to get myself back on my feet and grow and scale my own business.
That is awesome, because I think a lot of people may see someone like you and say, okay, she has always been on top. And for you to just share that, I had to work my way up and, I'm here, but this is what I went through. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that's so important for our listeners. And I'm going to go to a commercial break, but someone had a comment. Let's see. Okay. Ms. Carter. Hello, ladies. Thank you for the information. Love this show. Thank you so much. Lisa Dene says, Dr. Finnie, you never watched Scandal? OMG, I'm jealous. I wish I could go back and watch it from the beginning. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Me too.
Okay. Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with Ms. Tamisha Duncan, personal brand strategist. And don't forget the Duncan Agency. You can catch her at www.tamishaduncan.com. We'll be right back.
Hey, it's your girl Lisa Dene, and I want to tell you about a product that has changed my life. Rain Premium Sanitary Napkins. Rain products are infused with a Nobel Prize-winning material called graphene. It's the graphene strip that provides the various health benefits that can improve your quality of life during that time of the month. Listen, I've been very loyal to a certain brand of feminine products, but I've never experienced the results I get with Rain products. The difference is in the graphene strip. Using Rain products has totally eliminated the painful cramps I experience, and it can also help balance your body's pH, eliminate harmful bacteria, and help fight fatigue. Graphene moves heat away from your core to keep you cool and comfortable. Ladies, it's time to upgrade your feminine care with products that not only offer protection, but also improve your health and wellness. Place your order today and receive your premium sanitary napkins delivered directly to your door. Visit www.drfcare.com to make your purchase today. And don't forget to mention that your girl Lisa Dene and Stunner Radio sent you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Recipe with my special guest, award-winning speaker, international #1 best-selling author, personal brand and branding positioning strategist, and creative director, Tamisha Duncan.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. This is fun.
All right. So let's talk about these accomplishments, because you have several, and I just feel like this is so important. Let's expound on the fact that you are an award-winning speaker. Can you please provide details?
Yes. So if you know me, you know I can run my mouth for days. But one of the things that I have always loved doing, even as a little girl with the cutting out the ebony and the Jet magazines, was I always thought that I was actually going to be a teacher. So I would take chalk and write all over. The chalkboard that my parents got me was not big enough. So I was like, bump this, I'm going to write on the walls. Got in enough trouble for that. But that was my thing. I was going to teach. I was going to do all of these other things. And I would practice that my entire life. And so I found a way to really implement the teaching into the speaking because I felt like I had a lot to say. And there's a lot of information out there. And I feel like a lot of people are not getting the right information because they listen to a lot of gurus that tell them they have to do certain things a certain way. And I don't want people to feel like that's accurate because it's not. And so I felt like it was my obligation, not necessarily just to work with the clients that I was working with, but to also find ways to educate people on how to easily use social media and how to easily position their business, because it's not as hard as people sometimes may think it is because they don't have the right tools in place. So I just really, took what I learned and in regards to building a brand and building marketing for myself and helping people to position themselves. And I said, well, you're going to start with yourself. So in order to build your credibility, you have to now show how you can get on speaking engagements. So it helped twofold, showing people how I could help myself get on speaking engagements, help to build my credibility, and then helping other people to do the same because it's all part of positioning your brand. So as a result of that, I've been able to speak on stages in different arenas across the globe, which I never thought that I would be able to do because I'm like, somebody's going to pay me and then fly me across the country to speak about Instagram. Like, I don't know how that's going to work, but we're going to go for it. And it happened and it worked. And, I get a lot of great feedback when I am able to speak because I try to talk to people and teach them. Like if I was the person sitting in that audience or watching on, Zoom, what would I want to know? Don't give me the fluff, like share with me what I really would want to know to move the needle in my business. So I think it's very important. And I really, really love speaking because I get an opportunity to impact a lot of people to help them grow their business.
I love it. I love it. I love it. What publications do you credit towards being an international #1 best-selling author?
So I definitely credit Forbes. I was able to be mentioned in Forbes, also in Huffington Post. They did a feature on me as well. I'm trying to think of all the ones that I've been in. Those are the main two ones that I feel like a lot of people really gravitate to. When I launched my book, alongside my husband, The Escape Plan. Initially, when I had started my coaching business, I really wanted to focus on helping people who were in a 9-to-5 transition out of their 9-to-5 to working their business full time, because that's what I did, and take the lessons that I learned from leaving, this corporate job from rock bottom and then building this amazing business. And so the both of us, because he also did the same thing, so we both created a book. And actually, we created this book in literally 2 days. I don't know how we pulled this off, but I was like, I think we should write a book. Let's publish it in 2 days, have it ready for Thanksgiving and Black Friday. And it was like November 13th. And I was like, yeah, we got to get this out. Then we got to get it published. Then we got to get it proofread. He's looking at me like, what planet do we exist on? I was like, come on, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Just come on, we'll figure it out. Ooh. That whole month was a blur, but we were able to get the book out. And the first day that the book launched, it became a #1 bestseller in France. I think there were 3 other countries. I can't think of them right now. I just remember France specifically because I was like, France, wow. But it hit #1 on the bestsellers list in three different countries, I believe.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh. I mean, I knew some of this, but I didn't know all the details. So some people feeling me and you giving me a little extra scoop. Something else that I know is that you help entrepreneurs become known online. And I think that is so awesome. But with that, you've done some collaborations with $1 million brands like.
Well, first of all, the Coca-Cola company. That's that business I'm going to credit to a lot of, the work that I've been able to do and collaborate and then return and be able to share some of my expertise. I've been able to work with a lot of different companies, that we would think that these businesses are already established because, well, you're a big brand. You should already know how to, attack the market. But the reality is with the turn in social media and technology and the way millennials think, a lot of these companies do not know how to really attract them. So I've had the opportunity to work with total different brands and different networks to be able to show them how to put their business in front of the right people and to talk to people in this particular market, because the old ways of doing business, you cannot do that anymore in 2021 and beyond. It's just not as effective as it was before. And there's a lot of it's very easy for anybody to flip up a laptop or computer and say, I'm a business owner. And so now you have, tons of people that you're competing with. So it's very difficult for people to try to stand out now. So yeah, I've been able to work with a lot of different types of brands that are multi-million-dollar brands, even billion-dollar brands. They may not necessarily be, out there, but they're bringing in the revenue, but they need to know how to market in today's society.
You brought up something so important that I didn't think about, and that is the generations that work in the workplace. Mm-hmm. And I have a background in diversity and inclusion, and I know that we have the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, the millennials, we all four generations are working side by side. And some of those are what I call the sandwich generation, meaning they're sandwiched between adult care and child care. And then they're trying to run a business and do all these other things. And just having that complexity of generations in the workplace, I can imagine that it's hard to keep up with changing times and just the way that millennials think versus baby boomers, et cetera, and having someone like you on hand that can say, okay, well, why don't we look at it from this point of view? And why don't we do this? I'm sure that makes a big difference in organizations, because I think of Sears, no disrespect intended. I remember Sears, we used to get the big book every year that had the big, thick catalog. We would go through there and pick things out for the school year. And they kept doing that for a while, even after, people were going online, moving into the online arena. And it was like, oh my gosh, they're going out of business. Yeah. And then they were trying to move into the online arena, and it was too late.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That makes me think of, the whole Blockbuster and Netflix type thing.
I was going to say that. And I believe that Blockbuster was actually, someone had steered them in the direction of doing streaming, and they said no.
Yeah. They was like, nobody's going to do that. And they rejected it. And they had an opportunity to, capitalize in the space, and they turned it down. And now they're out of existence. People coming up this day and age is like, Block what? What is that? They don't even know what it is. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So it's just you got to be ready to evolve with the times.
Yes, and my kids, they won't know anything about Blockbuster, to be honest. I feel like I'm trying to get them to remember who Prince and Michael Jackson are. I have to do that due diligence. If I don't do that, I'm a bad parent.
I feel the same way. I'm like, now this is Michael Jackson. You will sit down. You're going to listen to these songs. You're going to understand who this is. This is important. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yes, and my son is 10 years old, and he's looking at me watch Prince, and I'm so excited. He's like, why is he dressed like that? Why is he dancing like that? Why is he doing that to that guitar?
Yeah, I get offended. I'm like, excuse me.
Excuse you. You sit there and you listen. You pay attention. This is important.
This is important.
History.
Exactly.
Well, you also have an acclaimed podcast show, Making the Brand. Tell us about that.
Making the Brand. My husband and I first started Making the Brand in 2016. And to be quite honest with you, I started the show specifically because I was using it as a kind of marketing, I wouldn't say negotiating, but like a relationship tool, because my thing was I want to expand my brand and I want to connect with other influencers in the industry. And this would be a great way for me to bring other people that I want to learn from and I want to connect with onto my show. Mm-hmm. And that is what I had initially used the show for. So I've been able to have some amazing people on my show, not even realizing what it would evolve into. And so we've been doing this show now for about 5 years. And so what the show is about is I bring on entrepreneurs and I talk to them about initially it started off as a show called Quit Your 9 to 5 Academy. So I was specifically, or podcast. I would specifically talk to people who have quit their 9 to 5 and built, a 6 or 7 figure business and get their best practices on how, what they did to leave their job. And then I said, well, I don't want to just limit it to people who's quit their job, because there's other amazing people out there that maybe didn't quit their job. Maybe they still have a job, or they never worked in corporate America and they have a story to tell. And they have some good practices for people to learn on how to grow their business. So that's what Making the Brand is. It's really about helping people to see what it takes to make a business and make a brand, but not just from my perspective, from other people's perspective as well, because we can learn things from each other and we can do different things and get ideas from the different ways in which people run their business. And I want to be able to open that up to everyone so they have the opportunity to see what's available to them.
That is new to me. I did not know that about you and the podcast show. So just a little tidbit now. I'm tracking you. I'm tracking. So let's just, we keep talking about branding and, you know, what it means, but tell us, what is branding in a nutshell?
So I like to keep it really simple. I know other people have different explanations for what they feel like branding is. And I like to, because I feel like branding and marketing get confused a lot. A lot of people think they're one and the same, and they're definitely related, but they're not the same thing. And the easiest way that I say it is, when you think about marketing, marketing is usually what you say about your business. You've created a flyer, you're creating an ad, you are trying to put the word out about your business to bring in clients or to bring brand awareness. Whereas branding is more so what other people say about your business. So that's more of the impression that you leave, your reputation that follows you, what people think about when they think of you or when they think of your business. It's that feeling that you leave behind, right? When you walk out of a room and somebody feels a certain way about you, or when they see your logo, when they see your colors, or when they see your website, what are they thinking? What kind of reputation are you leaving so that, you know, somebody wants to continue to be in a relationship with you, whether that's buy your products, follow you online, support your business, etc. So simplest way to put it is branding is what other people say or feel about your business.
Okay. What is the value in someone branding their business or service? I mean, I know that seems like a small question, but some people may not see the importance of, you know, why should I do this? I mean, I can just go out here and say I got a website and make it happen.
Yeah. And no, it's a great question, because I feel like a lot of people are in this space where they've got a great idea and they just put out their business and they haven't really taken the time to build a brand around what they're doing. And what tends to happen is, if you don't really have a brand or reputation around what you're doing, you haven't taken the opportunity to position yourself in the industry, it's just like you'll fall flat. So I look at it, I come from the Coca-Cola world. So look at it in the same way, where you've got brands like, you should probably know about brands like Shasta and RC Cola, right? Most people don't know what those sodas are. They're like, excuse me, what the heck is a Shasta, right? But that's because Shasta doesn't have a brand. They didn't take time to build their brand. RC Cola is like, what? I don't even know if any of those businesses are still in business right now. But they have a product. They sell soda. They sell cola. But if you look at Shasta up against somebody like Coca-Cola, who's taken, or even Pepsi for that matter, who's taken the time to actually build a brand. So they've taken the time to really think about what their values are, what their messaging is, who their ideal clients are. What is that void that may be missing in the marketplace? You know, they're all sold at the end of the day, and some of them taste a little bit different than the others. But if you were at a picnic and all they had was Shasta, you're not going to be like, I'm not drinking that Shasta. Some people are diehard Coca-Cola fans. The average person is going to be like, give me the soda. I don't care what it is, right?
That's it.
But if you had to choose, most likely you're not going to choose the Shasta. You're going to choose the brand that you know you can trust, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that's well known. And so when you take the time to establish that for yourself, it allows you to position yourself in the market so that, one, you're not just throwing wind. You're not just throwing spaghetti up against the wall. You're not just striking the wind. Right? Because now you know exactly where you belong. And when other people come into your market, because they will, it now elevates you above your competition. You're now creating a loyal fan base because people now can depend on you. They can trust you. They see that you're consistent, you're reliable, all of these things that create loyal customers, and loyal customers create consistency in your bank account. If you can't establish that and you don't have a brand, then people are just going to look at you as which one is cheaper. I'm going to price shop. So you're going to go for the lower priced item because this one has no real value to you. It doesn't mean anything. And so that's
you don't
why
understand the quality.
Exactly. So you don't, if you haven't established your value and your place in the market, then people are not going to be able to buy into your business. It's going to be short term because there's going to be somebody else that's going to become more important and take their attention away. And then you're going to be sitting there looking like Shasta Cola. So, so yes, that's why that's important to build your brand.
You answered that question. Okay. So what would you tell a business to focus on as a starting point? If they were first, looking at branding, what would be a good focus for a starting point?
So one thing I want to say about that is I find that a lot of people, when they think about branding, they think about your logo or your colors or your website. Those things are important, but they're not the first thing that you should be thinking of. Usually people are like, oh, I'm going to start a business. I need a website. Got to make my logo, need my business cards. Nobody cares about that. So stop thinking about that because that's not going to get you any money. Now,
it's just the way you did it. I got to get my business cards.
Because that's how it is. I got to get my business cards. No, pump your brakes. This is what I need you to focus on. It's not about those things I don't know about business cards being important in 2021. That's a whole nother story. But those things are important. I'm not going to diminish their value, but they're not the first thing that you should work on. You really want to focus on, first of all, what is it that you want to be known for? When you're coming out the gate, why should people pay attention to you? What is that? What is it, the value that you bring to your marketplace, and why should people pay attention to that? Why do they need that? So there's a lot of little things that go into, answering that question. But the main thing is, okay, I'm going to start a business. What is it that I want people to know my business for? What is it that I want to be known for? You got to be clear on that, and you got to be clear on the problem that you're solving in your marketplace. Because if you're not clear on that, that means other people are not going to be clear on your problem or why they should pay attention to you. And the result is they're not going to pay attention to you. They're going to pay attention to someone else. So really creating that brand foundation for yourself and how you want to position yourself in your market. It might not be a saturated market. It might be a market, like I just had a student in my known program where she was creating something brand new. So she didn't have any competitors, but she still needed to figure out how to alert the people of the problem that she solved, because you could also have a problem, but if your ideal clients don't know that they have that problem, then they won't know, oh, I need this, because they don't even realize they have that problem in the first place. So getting clear on those things are the first things I would suggest somebody do when building their brand.
Okay, that's great feedback. Can you give an example of a universal lesson someone could apply in branding? Like, consistently think of this, when you talk about branding, just a universal lesson.
Yeah, I would say constantly or consistently think about, this is going to sound kind of odd, but you want to think about the alternatives that your clients have in your marketplace. That will help you to focus on how you either fill a void that your market doesn't have. So I'll take you, for example, with the rain products, right? Okay. Alternatives to your product could be other feminine products or, suffering and pain because they don't know what to do because they don't have the right solution. They're going to be either using something else or doing something else in the meantime until they find your product. And you want to be clear on what those different alternatives are that they're using, because that's going to help you to be able to fill the gap on where you may be able to insert yourself into the market by doing something different or enhancing on something that was already done, but making it better, or filling a gap totally that has not been addressed. And so when you're constantly thinking about those things and where you fit into your marketplace, that'll help you to really make a dent or, really state your claim in your industry, because now it's clear the problem that you solve for your clients.
Okay. So, how can someone make their brand stand out if they're not already super successful and well known? You know.
So, of course, making sure that you know what you want to be known for.
Okay.
Getting clear on that problem that you solve for your ideal clients, knowing where your people are hanging out. So that's one of the things that comes up a lot, because as it relates to me helping people specifically with their digital presence, we find there's so many different platforms online. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's LinkedIn, there's this, that. It's too much. Clubhouse. It's hard to keep up with everything. And sometimes we all feel like, oh, I got to be, okay, Clubhouse is out now. I guess I got to go on Clubhouse. I got to do this. I got to do that. And you will burn out very quickly. If you know your ideal clients really well and you know where they're spending their time, then you want to focus on spending your time exactly where they're spending their time, and then be a resource for them. So you're an expert at what you do. You have knowledge that they don't have, and they'll be looking to you for that knowledge. Now, they don't know that you exist yet, but when you start creating content that answers those questions that they have or fills that gap that they need filled, they will start to pay attention to you, because now you're speaking their language. But of course, that means you have to do some good research on your ideal clients, and you have to research, spend some time really digging and finding out where they are, where they're playing, maybe some Facebook groups that they're hanging out in, or LinkedIn groups. There are different ways in which you can kind of put your ear to the conversation that your ideal clients are having, so you can see. Like, one of the first things I did before I started my branding business is I would comb through. I was working with wedding professionals initially, like, as I mentioned. So I was a part of a lot of wedding industry Facebook groups and other communities that were filled with wedding professionals. Now, I was in there as a planner, but knowing that I was getting ready to make that pivot and shift as a branding and coaching brand strategist, I would listen and watch and jot down all the questions that people had around their brand, around marketing. And I would take that and I would compile a list of all the questions that they asked. And then in some cases I would answer them. And that was what I did a lot. I would answer them a lot. So a lot of times when somebody would ask a branding question, people would tag me, because they would be like, oh, Tanisha, you need to talk to her. But one of the biggest benefits of doing that was I was able to create content around those same problems and questions that people had, because I already knew that was a sore spot for them and I had the answer. So now that shifted their attention to looking at me in a different way, like, oh, this girl knows what she's talking about, and helped me to build my brand. So you want to do the same exact thing to get your name out there.
That is some great information. Let's take a quick break, and then we will be back with Tamisha Duncan, award-winning speaker, international #1 best-selling author, personal brand and positioning strategist, and creative director.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl, comedian actress Coca Brown. And I got to give a huge shout out to my girl, Dr. Stepheny Finnie, because she put me on. What? To the Jewel sanitary napkin. These babies are amazing. Not only are they good to me, they're good for me. Not only do they help with absorption, moisture control, and protection, because yes, sometimes I like to wear white, but these babies also have a great ingredient called graphene that helps with cramps. Huh? Are you kidding me? So you're telling me that I'm protected and I can control my moods a little bit? I love it. So please make sure you hit up my girl, Dr. Stepheny Finnie. They have a variety of sizes for every kind of flow, whether it's heavy, light, overnight, she got you. So make sure you hit up my girl, Dr. Stepheny Finnie, and get you some Jewel sanitary napkins today. I strongly endorse these, honey, especially if you're like me. You need all the help you can get for that time of the month. All right?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Recipe with personal brand strategist Tamisha Duncan.
I love that commercial by Coca. That was great.
Thank you. Yes, she's definitely a supporter. She loves the product.
The product is amazing.
Thank you. You had hit on this a little bit, but let's talk about it a little more. You talked about it before I brought it up, about some ideas of personal branding that may be misunderstood. Can you talk about that? Because I'm going to be honest with you. When I first found out about branding, I was like, okay, I don't know what a hashtag is. I don't know what, it was like just new. I'm just trying to figure out where to start. And I think that there are a lot of misconceptions out there when you say to brand your product, because I know you and I've talked and we've said that you have to think about yourself as well, because people buy you before they buy your product or your service.
Absolutely.
So.
And so I feel that as it relates to branding, you have people who come into the whole branding concept of the tangible things. They're quick to go to, oh, okay, so I need to create a flyer with my picture on it, or, I need to create my business cards, or I need to create, they think about tangible, physical marketing materials that will help get the word out there. And that's not, like I said before, it is a part of branding, but that's not what branding is. And so branding is really like the conglomerate of all of those things, but it's the tools that's going to help you to make the right impression on your ideal client and help to build your reputation. So yes, you definitely need a logo. Yes, you definitely need to figure out what your colors are. And if you choose to have a website, what that's going to look like and what you want your visual representation of your brand to be. Because when we think about a Coca-Cola, when we think about a Mercedes, different types of companies, Nike, they have a unique brand where they don't have to say much. I mean, the Coca-Cola logo is the word Coca-Cola, but something like Nike, it's a check. But as soon as you see the check, you know that that's a Nike product. As soon as you see the Mercedes-Benz emblem, you know that's a Mercedes-Benz. It doesn't say that, but that has been imprinted in our brains that we know exactly what that means. As soon as you see the Apple, you know that's an Apple product. And so, yes, those things are important, but those are not things that you want to rush to first, because the problem with that is when you start to think about the visual aspects of your business without really getting clear on what you want to be known for, who you're even targeting, how you want to niche yourself. A lot of times what I find, especially with clients who come to me, is that they have those things. And then after we really dig into getting their brand strategy together, they don't want to do that anymore, or those things no longer apply because now we've created a different lane for them to operate in. And so they have to start all over again. And so that's why I advise people to do those visual aspects after the fact. It's like you plan for the wedding before you even know who your husband is going to be. You wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? You're not going to set up a whole wedding and pick out, I mean, some people will do that, but you're not going to pick out your venue and start inviting people to a wedding that you don't even have the mate yet. So it's the same way with your business. You want to focus on, at least first, really get clear on the foundation of your business. It's like building a house. You're not going to buy furniture for a house that you don't have. You can't, it's not going to make sense because you might buy furniture that's too big for a certain room or too small for a certain room or doesn't fit, and so you want to make sure that you're creating the right elements at the right time.
Okay. That sounds like research in a nutshell. So obviously research plays a big part in the branding process.
Absolutely.
So how has the branding evolved over the years that, you know of? I'm sure, when you first started, it was, I'm not saying it's simple. I'm not going to say that, but just different in comparison to 2021.
So what I find a lot now is, branding is there's a lot of emphasis on connections with people, where that's always kind of been there. But I feel like, and that's another reason which plays into the misconception that a lot of people have, that they got to get their logo and this, that, and third, because they're focusing on branding the company. Whereas now a lot of even big companies, they want to have a personality attached to their business. So if you are, an entrepreneur, it's a little bit easier, obviously, to create a personality because I am my brand. Even though I have a marketing agency, I'm still the face of my brand. So it's much easier to brand me versus this company that you don't know who runs it, right? But other businesses now see the importance of really building a personality behind their brand. And for those that are entrepreneurs, really building up, their personality and how they want to show up, because people like to connect with people. People are going to buy from people. It doesn't matter, what you do, what you say, how great your website looks. If they don't have a connection with you as an individual, or they don't have a connection with what your business stands for, so that's that personality that it has, then they're not going to attach themselves to your brand. So I think that has really shifted within the past few years. And really, as we ramp up into the social media age, even more so now, because what you see on social media are mostly people. And that's why it's important to connect with people.
Yes. Yes. I receive, numerous feeds on social media daily for, branding coaching. And, I know about the accolades, I'm a supporter, that. But for those that don't know, how do you differentiate yourself from others in your field? Because again, it can be social media overload. You just get so much stuff coming at you and trying to figure out, I want to go with this branding coach, or I want to go in this direction. How do you do that?
So for me personally, I'll be honest, I don't really, I used to watch what everybody else is doing. And I'm like, oh, what's that person doing? Oh, what this person's doing? All right, I gotta do this. I don't look at what other people do anymore. I focus on me. So I could just tell you what I do.
Okay.
For me, just based off of my feedback from my clients and from people that I work with, the feedback that I get a lot is, people really see that I care about their business. And I'm not going to have you doing things that I feel don't serve you. And I think that sometimes, something works. Of course, I have my strategies and philosophies on what I think somebody should do or not do, but it's not a one size fits all. And I think that's important because everybody's business is different. Their goals are different. What they want out of it is different. And I'm not the person that believes that you got to be on every single platform, jumping and skipping and dancing and tooting around town. You don't have to do that if you don't want to do that. You don't need to have thousands of followers to make $1 million. Like, you don't have to do those things. And a lot of, not to talk about what anybody else does, but I do think that that's a misconception that people a trap that people fall into. They feel like, oh, I got to be popular on Instagram or this platform in order to grow my business. Oh, I got to do that. No, you don't. You need to focus on the key elements that's going to really touch the people that you need to touch. And I like to spend a lot of time on helping people to build a brand that's authentic to them. Because if it's not authentic to you, you're not feeling it, then you're not going to do it. You're not going to, anything that I tell you to do or that you should do, you're going to be like, okay, and then you're not going to do it. And so you're not going to make money doing it. And so you got to feel good in what you're doing. Now, with that being said, and you know this, I will push you outside of your comfort zone to do things that you may not have been used to doing before. But we try to do it in a way that feels good to you so that you can see the results of what you bring to the table, because people are looking for you specifically. You don't know it, though, because you're not out there and you're not making yourself visible. So with a little bit of tweaks here and there in the positioning, because I think that's super important on how to position yourself inside of that market, that will help you to let your brand stand out. But we're going to do it in a way that feels good and that's fun and that's authentic to you, so you enjoy waking up to your business every day. It's not like, oh God, I don't want to do this. And you might have those jitters at first because it's something different, but once you push past that, then you're going to love it. Look at you.
I remember the first time you were like, yes, it's time to start doing Instagram Lives. I was like, what? Who? You were like, yeah, you.
You got 3 shows, okay? You see what I mean?
Yeah. But that first one, I was just so nervous. Because I think everyone's afraid of the unknown.
Of course.
This is a normal thing.
The funny thing is, I don't like to go live either. And no one believes me when I say that. I can't stand it.
No, I don't believe it.
I know. But because I know who I need to be when I'm online. But that leading up to it, I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And there's no reason why, because when I show up, people show up, I have fun, we talk, we do all these things. But it's that anxiety that leads to it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we don't want that to stop us from making that next step so that people can see our gifts and our talents and we can help those that need us.
Absolutely. Well, for those that may need a little help, what type of branding consultation services do you offer?
So what I offer is I'm actually we just revamped the whole Duncan agency, which I'm super excited about. We revamped my signature program, which is known, which is a 6-month coaching program. And so basically, if you want to, I encourage everybody to go to the website and basically apply. And so this allows us both to see if we are a fit to work together. And then we'll chat about what are some of the things that you want to accomplish within your business and how I can help you and my team can help you along in that process.
Okay. Okay. Now, we've talked about, shifting and pivot, but have you had to do any additional shifting or pivoting in areas of your business because of the pandemic?
Let me see. I wouldn't say because of the pandemic, because the reality is, for me, the pandemic really, I hate to say it this way, but it really helped my business because a lot of people now were like, all right, they're losing their jobs. They're trying to create revenue for themselves. Now they see the importance of growing their business. And so now they're like, okay, I'm serious now. I need you to help me do this.
Yes.
So I've been very lucky in that regard that, the pandemic has been able to keep my business afloat, and I haven't had any downside from that.
Okay.
I have had to make shifts in my business as far as, my business growing, and we're evolving, and everyone's business evolves at some point. You got to kind of look back and reevaluate what's working, what's not working. How can you, my main motto is I have a tendency of wanting to do all the things, and, I want to be able to trim the fat so I can focus on the things that's really going to serve myself and serve my audience the best. So in that regard, I have made some shifts and pivots, have brought some people onto the team, have removed some people from the team, so that we can really focus on the things that are going to help us in both regards, both for our clients and for the business to grow and scale.
Okay. What lessons have you learned while becoming a brand strategist?
Oh my God. I don't think the show has enough time for that question. But I will say this as an entrepreneur, and hopefully this helps someone else. For me, I can only speak for myself, but I know for me, I like to have my hands on every piece of everything because my reputation is very important to me, i.e. my brand. I'm teaching people how to build a brand. So of course my brand has to be on point in order for people to be able to learn from me. And so I'm very meticulous on how things operate, but that could be a gift and a curse because as the CEO of my business, I can't be every place at every time. I can't touch every single piece of my business. There are people out there that are way smarter than me. That can help me grow my business instead of me trying to do all the things. And so as I grow in maturity and in experience, you realize that you can't do this to me. You can do this, but this is not a good usage of your time. And so I've had to really work on letting go of certain things, delegating more of certain things, and trusting the process. And when being an entrepreneur, this, it's like, that's your baby. You're not going to just let anybody babysit your child. So you're going to be very protective over your brand and how it shows up. And we worry about a lot of things, and sometimes we put a lot of added pressure. So for me, I had to let go of certain things, but also put systems in place so that I wouldn't have to worry about certain things. So I would advise anybody who's an entrepreneur, wherever you are in your business, look at your systems and how you have, be able to know where your revenue is coming from and your expected revenue. If you're at a place where you maybe cannot bring on a team member at this point, what can you automate in that process so that you are not doing all the work? And if you can't afford to bring somebody on, maybe consider bringing on a VA, a virtual assistant, or somebody else that can offset some of the workload. So your main focus should be on marketing and selling your business. You are the talent. And so you're out there kissing babies, shaking hands, and your team or your automation system is making sure that you're getting, prospects and leads into your funnel so you can continue to sustain yourself.
Okay. You mentioned revamping your known program to now 2.0. Do you have any other major projects that you're working on?
I do, but I can't talk about them yet. But hopefully in the next few months, I can talk about them. It's a project I'm really excited about, but can't say anything about that just yet. But outside of that, I'm very excited for the known program, which you are familiar with, because that's how I'm able to really serve my clients in the best way and to help them become known online.
Yes. And where can we find you on social media?
So my favorite place to hang out is Instagram. I will say, even though TikTok has had my heart for a couple months, I rejected TikTok. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And then I don't know how I got on it, but then I was like, oh, I like this thing. I like this thing here. So I've been playing a lot there. But I play there. But if you want to connect with me, Instagram is the place to go. And so I'm on every social media platform as Tamisha Duncan. So you can just find me on Instagram, send me a DM. I love chatting with people, especially in the DMs, and learning more about your business and what you're up to. And if there's a way that I can support you, I would love to be able to do that. So yeah, send me a message and hit me up on Instagram.
Okay. Well, before we go, on a personal note, I just want to say that I appreciate all of your accomplishments, as that, definitely, so it solidifies you and your knowledge in the field of work. But I also just want to thank you for being you. And for those watching or listening, let me explain what that means. Tamisha Duncan will coach you. She will push you. She may even hurt your feelings sometimes, but more than that, she will be your number one cheerleader. And you just don't find that. I'm also going to reflect back to a post that I saw on her social media feed in probably April 2020, where she was in negotiations to land a major deal, but she declined it because it just didn't align with her values, and there was going to have to be some compromise. And for me, that said that she's a person of integrity. When you're not willing to put your relationships, etc., on the line because of money. And I knew then that she was something special, and she deserves the bragging rights, not just because of what she does, but because of who she is. So thank you so much, Ms. Tamisha Duncan, award-winning speaker, international #1 best-selling author, personal brand and positioning strategist, and creative director, for taking time out of your busy schedule to connect with me and those listening and watching on The Recipe.
That was awesome. And I'm going to need a copy of that soundbite. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate that, especially coming from you. You know how I feel about you. I think you're amazing. And I'm honored that you even asked me to be a part of this. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, hold tight as I wrap up. Before I go, again, thank you again. If you are on Instagram, please connect to my IG Live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as I top off the night with a final serving of health and wellness in the area of feminine care. And for any men out there, please do not shy away from this topic, because if you have important women in your life, you also need to know about this information. That's it for me, everyone. Again, I hope you enjoyed this segment of The Recipe. And now I'm going to allow singer, songwriter, television personality, and founding member of Sisters with Voices, Lily from SWV, to provide her endorsement of Rain, previously known as Jewel Feminine Care. See you next time on The Recipe, as I bring you all of the ingredients for living your best life.
And the packaging, it says Jewel on it. And she sent me so many different, it's for moderate flow, heavy flow. Hold on. And this was my favorite.
That is my favorite. That is my favorite.
I can always appreciate an overnight. But what I was really impressed by was the length, how long it was,
and how it's not as thick.
If you guys still get those healthy friends, sometimes that thing could just be out of control and never do what you asked it to do. It'd be all over the place. But honestly, I had absolutely no problems at all. And I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate this product so good, because a lot of people, they want to send you stuff, and it's like, okay, you want to believe in everybody, but everybody's product is not a good product, especially something when it comes to feminine hygiene and sanitary this and you got to be very careful, because sometimes, whatever the stuff is made with, it don't always agree with your body chemistry. But I had absolutely no problems, and I wouldn't even say this if I didn't mean it. I gave the girls in my podcast, they use it. My podcast member, she don't even use sanitary napkin. She's like a tampon girl. But she really appreciated this. And I thought, I have to tell you this. I couldn't wait to get on here to tell you this. So for everybody that's on here that's still going through them, getting those monthly visitors, please support Dr. Finnie's business. I tried it myself and I loved it.
Wow.
Thank you so